mind are fields of dreams, floods of emotion, cities of habit, trains of thought, and the grand central station of the will. The skyline of your mind will determine the skyline of your future. Welcome to Mind Map Life Stories. We've taken 6 people with potentially life-controlling issues and found that through both the power of the Holy Spirit and through a change in the thinking process, they've been able to turn their lives around and change their worlds forever. Welcome to the mind map of the Christian's mind. At the very centre of the mind is the grand central station of the will, where decisions are made over every thought that enters into it. These thoughts either board trains of temptation that lead to the fallen region of the mind, or trains of faith that lead to the new region of the mind. The more trains of thought that arrive in the fallen mind, the stronger it gets. The more trains of thought that arrive in the new mind, the stronger it gets. In this episode, I'll be talking with Sam about his life-controlling OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, and how through both faith in God and by launching brand new trains of thought within his mind, he was able to become an overcomer and launch himself into the best years of his life. So Sam, in your past, you've been plagued with OCD.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, it started when I was about, I think it was about 10. I just moved into a new house and had like a Mega Drive. And so I was just playing on my Mega Drive and I just turned it off by the button.
What's a Mega Drive?
Mega Drive it's like an old computer console, very, very old.
Okay.
You used to put cartridges in to play the game.
All right, so yeah, so you're 10. Playing the game, and what happened?
Yeah, and then after I finished playing, I just pressed the power button. It was like a red button, and it was almost like a suggestion came into my mind, like, oh, turn it off another 5 times, you know, just tap the button another 5 times. I don't know why, but I just, you know, just felt right, and then I walked off and did my own thing, and then from there. It kind of developed into other things, like I would repeat things that I did, just basic things. You know, I was only 10, so whatever I'd do, maybe if it was turning off a light switch or turning on the tap, I'd just do it a certain amount of times. And it kind of, you know, I'd have to do it for it to feel comfortable almost. Did anyone see you doing this? Yeah, but I kind of tried to disguise it. I was quite good at disguising it. Did your mum notice a repetition of the lights going on and off every time you left the room? Well, yeah, I think she did, but I just used to say, oh, I just like to do it, and she was just, oh, okay, but don't do it, and I was like, okay. So it wasn't anything serious at an early age, but it did develop into things where I'd have to kind of make sure, you know, washing my hands, for example, you know, the things that most people would associate OCD with, you know, cleanness, and like I'd be very kind of particular about how I did, you know, where I put things or how I did things to begin with. But then as I grew older, like I used to get, say if I was turning off the light switch, I used to get like a you know, a bit of a thought come in my mind, like what happens if something happened, you know, a bad thing happens to your family, if they die, or you know, something like that. Yes. So that thought in my mind at the time of turning off the light switch, I couldn't walk on from the light, I couldn't move on and do something else until I ended on a good thought. while I was turning off the light switch.
All right, okay. Yep.
So I could be there for ages, just...
How long ages?
Well, when I got older, so, you know, when I was a teenager, I could be there for about... Like, I remember one morning getting out of bed, I could just be getting out of my bunk bed, climbing off onto the ladder. But as I moved out of the bed, you know, I was kind of holding the mattress. I'd have to keep going up to the top bunk, holding the mattress and getting off the ladder, because I had a bad thought in my mind. I was there for about at least, I don't know, hours.
How old were you?
At that time, I think I was 16.
So this started off at 10 with a mind game. So a game that your mind played with you, turn the Mega Drive off 5 times.
Yeah.
And now you're 16, that sounds to me beyond a game. 2 hours? That's beyond a game. So what's happened? What do you think has happened in that time? You know, it's become sinister.
Yeah. I think, like, I really don't know, just thoughts that would come into my mind, that things were going to happen, that just, you know, made me scared, and I couldn't move on. Like, if I tried to move on from what I was doing, so say if I was doing my shoelaces and I had a bad thought that I was afraid of, I couldn't ignore it and then move on and go out with my friends, because...
Was that a stronghold of superstition or a stronghold of just straight fear? Or what would you call it? If you were to call it a stronghold in the fallen part of your mind, what would you call it? How would you define it?
Well, I think it was fear, actually. It was based on fear, but also superstition. It was like I can control what happens, or almost like I can control what doesn't happen by little things that I do, you know. But it was always like these suggestions that came into my mind. It was like really silly, and I kind of knew it was silly, and I knew it was ridiculous, and no one would understand. But it impacted me so much. I had to do it. I had to do it.
There's 3 parts to the mind of every Christian. There's the natural mind, there's the new mind, and the fallen mind. Our old mind includes all of the destructive thinking that comes from our evil desires. Our new mind includes all of the new thinking that's entered into us since being born again. The natural mind includes all of our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. We need to destroy and demolish the old mind. Let the construction and demolition of our mind begin.